listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome to another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, your boy Pat Lane here with my guy Matt St. Jean. And Matt, as terrible, horrible, embarrassing, so just absolutely horrendous today's day was, at least it wasn't the Commanders game that we just finished with them.
It's not over yet.
That's true. That's true. But holy crap, to miss the extra point on that is completely insane.
That is. So I'm going to go way back into my football knowledge here. Do you know what that play? So for those who didn't see it, the Commanders scored a crazy touchdown at the end of the game.
86-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah, with 20 seconds left, except they missed the extra point, so they didn't tie it. Oh my goodness! Now the Cowboys are returning the onside kick for a touchdown.
You have to go for two here. You have to go for two.
I didn't think you could advance the kick. I thought they had to fall on it. But
no,
anyway,
you can advance. It's a regular kick, I would think.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
But no, the kicking team can't advance it. That's what it is.
Right.
But yeah, so they missed the PAT that would have tied the game. Do you remember the Jaguars Saints game? I
do. The play where it was like back at like they did it like 400 times, right? It was like all the laterals and everything else.
Was that the Jaguars or was that the Saints who scored? I think it was the Saints, right?
The Saints that scored because they were getting into the playoffs. If they had won that game, they were in the playoffs. And he had missed a kick all year long.
Yep, and they one of the crazy lateral plays to tie the game, and they missed the extra point. You don't go to overtime. Or would the extra point have won it? I don't remember.
The extra point would have tied it, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they would have, because that doesn't matter, I suppose, right?
Yeah. But yeah. Crazy stuff in the NFL today. Absolutely wild. Chiefs winning a one-score game. Vikings-Bears in overtime right now. C.J. Stroud pulling a Dan Orlovsky as the Texans lose at home to the Titans. All much more interesting things than what we saw for 60 minutes on a field in South Florida today.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right? I mean, that's, all of those. I mean, can we just talk about that stuff and not the Patriots? Because the Patriots are so bad. And here's the thing, right? And this is where, and I don't want to, I'm not saying people are wrong, okay? But the first negative comment, obviously about Drake May, and we'll get into that. The first negative comment about someone that played poorly today is about Vederian Lowe. And I'm not saying that Vederian Lowe played well today, because let's not get that twisted. He did not play well today. However, Demontre Jacobs was so bad that they put in Sidney So at right tackle for him. Demontre Jacobs was far and away the worst player on the field for both teams today, and it wasn't close.
Yeah, it was tough because he's been up and down, but he's been serviceable at right tackle to the point where right tackle really hadn't been a story that we've been talking about. And we didn't get to it in the weekday show this week. But Chop Robinson, edge rusher out of Penn State, who the Dolphins drafted in the first round, is someone who has really come on for them the last few weeks. He dominated that matchup today. Whether the Patriots gave chip help, play action, mess with the snap count, nothing really seemed to matter. Jacobs could barely get his hands on Robinson. Yeah. And it was just that ruined a lot of the early game for New England, and obviously things spiraled from there.
Yeah. So I mean, there's so many places to start, and there's so many people to blame. This game, coaching wise, was just horrendous. I will say, and not to discount what they did at all, but the false start on Lowe was not a false start. Where he was early, I guess. That could be called 12 times a game on every team.
Yeah.
Right. And it happens to get called in this situation, and that's frustrating. And then the holding call on him, the guy fell down. He fell down.
Not a hold.
Just not a holding call. It's right in front of the ref. How do you not see that? those are plays that, and that, the false start penalty, the holding penalty wiped out like an 18-yard completion. That's a huge thing. And so, not that the Patriots would have won, clearly not, right? But like the Patriots are bad enough. They don't also need the refs to be making terrible calls against them as well. Like they don't need that help,
The challenge that should have been overturned that the Patriots just didn't win. I didn't get that.
It's insane.
And it was
I understand people were upset about the challenge, right? But like, I know why he made the challenge, because he would have saved 14 yards on the play. It would have been another first down, but he would have saved 14 yards. I get it. And I even said at the time, I actually tweeted out, this is a bad challenge because even though it's an incompletion, for a fact that they're going to say it. The call stands. You can see the ball hit the ground. Doesn't matter to them.
See, that's why I thought it was a good challenge, because I thought it was so obvious. It was like, all right, it's just a free 14 yards you get back.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they didn't overturn that.
I had no confidence. Zero confidence in them.
I have to get into the film here, but I didn't. False starts all seemed ticky-tack to me. The holding penalties on the offensive line seemed rough.
Yeah.
I get, was it 13 penalties today? Second most the teams had in a game this season. Inexcusable. But also, a huge number of those were either incredibly ticky-tack calls that the refs just seemed to have it out for them on those today, or there was the Austin Hooper got his first penalty of the season, which didn't even get accepted, but where he was lined up offsides as a tight end. That's not coaching. That's a veteran player not knowing what to do. Yeah. And then what was the other one? Anthony Jennings jumping offsides the end of the first quarter.
Yeah, just can't happen.
Player not knowing
can't
what
happen.
to do. It's not like coaching. The players have to play better. Like you gotta, and maybe it is on coaching to a degree because they're not drilling this stuff hard enough, and they are responsible for it. But I see this, and I'm just like, I don't think the players are good enough. Like Anthony Jennings should be a role player on a good team. Austin Hooper should be a role player on a good team.
Right.
These two tackles are guys who the reason they're getting the false starts is because they're trying to cheat a little bit.
Right.
To handle the pass rush, you get better tackles. They're not doing that. But this isn't fixed till next year.
Well, and look, here's the thing, right? And it's interesting with the whole Kraft debate, and how the entire region has seemed to shift on Kraft, where now all of a sudden Kraft's a terrible owner and they all hate him, which I don't understand, but that's fine. Whatever. Okay, hate the owner, it's fine. It's okay. Do it. It's fine. But like, we hate the owner. We think that the GM sucks. We think the head coach sucks. We think the offensive coordinator sucks. Like, and it just, at a certain point, then you have to look at the team and just say, like, the team itself stinks. For the last 25 years, we've had one guy making the decisions. That one guy did a terrible job and left this team in absolute shambles, just complete shambles. And there's a lot of work to do, right? There weren't a lot of good free agents. Now, did he miss on Jalen Polk in the second round? You goddamn right he did, right?
Sure seems like
Devondre Sweat would look pretty nice here. Staying at 34 and drafting Ladd McConkey would have looked pretty nice here. Like, those things would have been good, right? But at the end of the day, right, like, I just, what I don't understand is we sit here and we talk about how, it's all about the owner, and it's about this guy, and it's about that guy. And so this year is about Bill Belichick. Next year's not. Next year, Elliott Wolf, Gerard Mayo have had 2 off seasons. We got to get the ball rolling. Like, that's on them. This year, to me, this team was left in shambles. And again, I just think a little thought experiment here. If you took the Patriots' top 35 players, just the top 35, right? Like the best players, the best 35 players on the roster. How many players would be on the top 35 of any other team in the NFL? Forget about a winning team. Any other team in the NFL. And I would say probably 12, maybe 15. That's it. This team has no talent. I mean, no, they are devoid of top-end talent, right? And again, That can't all be on Mayo and Wolf, right? And we can sit there and complain and do this and do that. I just like whatever. This is a conversation we should have later, I suppose. But like the fans have turned on Kraft and on Mayo. They were already turned on Mayo anyways, but they've turned on Mayo, right? I'll be completely honest with you, and it sucks. It's not everyone. There is a racist part of it. It's not all of it, but there definitely is a tinge to that, right? Where it's like, these guys want Mayo to fail because he's the first black coach the Patriots have had. They want him to fail, right? And that's not everyone, but that's part of it, and that sucks. And so then you feel like it's like, and now everyone wants to fire a VP, and it's like, well, wait a second. Drake Mayo's pretty good. Now we're going to fire the offensive coordinator who's like helped him look good. And sure, he hasn't been perfect. I get that. But like, let's not pretend like we're just going to get a magic thing. I don't know. Drives me crazy.
All that said, I think coaching staff's pretty bad today.
Awful today. Yes.
Defensively, DeMarcus Covington has gotten pantsed 2 weeks in a row against very good play callers. That's going to happen when you're a young coach coaching a team with little talent. But you go through what happened. Some of the stuff that happened today on defense, I think, was just the other team being better than you. That's going to happen. Tua had a really, really good day today as a passer.
Yeah.
You got him hitting like a no-look touchdown in there. That's tough. But like, I don't know. My issue with this defense for a couple weeks now is that it seems like every time they try to do something fancy, the offense is calling something that works against it, which tells me there's got to be something in their tells or their self-scouting or whatever that just isn't good enough because teams are able to find those issues and hit them. Like this defense isn't good right now. They really can't rush the passer all that much. They are so against the run. And they're pretty much always going to have one linebacker on the field who's going to be a weak link in some way. So, like, the middle of the field is going to be a weakness for this team. And teams are exploiting that, making them overcommit in the middle and then winning on the outside like the Rams did or whatever we saw today all over the field. But, like, I don't know, that little screen touch was a screen touchdown, the second one the Dolphins scored.
Yeah, the H-An one. H-An, however you pronounce his name.
They got guys going in motion. The Patriots don't know what they're doing in response to it. People don't bump over enough. Dolphins get a huge numbers advantage way to the far side of the field. And then when the Patriots overcommit to that, he can just cut right back inside for an easy touchdown. The other H-An touchdown, the other one, the dump off to the right side. Kyle Duggar gets lost. He can't find the running back. Doesn't know where he's supposed to be. And you give up a touchdown. That's tough. I know we went back and there was discussion about Kyle Duggar, being a guy they traded at the deadline. Like these plays have been there this year, and I don't know if they discussed trading him, but he has not been the same player since 2022.
Sure hasn't been. No,
I couldn't blame them if they were at least hearing what the offers were.
Right,
and it's not. He wasn't all bad with him. He should have had a pick. Except that was the one pass the team was able to break up. Well, before that, there was the pick.
The Mapu one. I mean, that's embarrassing defense from Mapu.
Just the one. It's the one play you're actually able to get. The one time that you make a really good play in pass coverage, and you're just breaking up the ball when you actually would have made.
And you're not even looking. He wasn't even looking. I mean, that's like ridiculous.
It's tough. And then Duggar's not able to hold onto a ball. There's a play after. It's this team. By and large, has been unable to make plays. Christian Gonzalez defensive touchdown notwithstanding. I hate to say this to you right now, Pat, but I have some real questions about Marcus Jones and his future in this secondary based on what we saw today and last week.
Yeah.
Which I will say, I was looking ahead to free agency. I don't know how interested we are in this, but Tarvarius Ward, the 49ers corner, is supposed to hit free agency. He's an outside corner. Yeah, that could be a very interesting pickup for this team.
The Patriots need an offense. They need another outside corner, right? They have Gonzo. I think Marcus can be a good player for them, but I don't think that he is like a legit number 2 corner. He just isn't,
No.
right? He isn't that guy, and that's okay, right? He can still be a piece. He made some okay plays today, right? He broke up a touchdown pass to
He's
Tyreek
not
Hill.
awful.
He made some plays, but you just at the end of the day, right? Like you have a guy outside of his position trying to play a position that he just can't do. And it just, it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do? Like you just, he's another guy where it's, he's playing outside of his position, right? And I think if you get a legit number 2 corner there, having him and John Jones be guys that can play in the slot and things like that, that's great. But beyond that, it's, he's not that type of guy, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
He's
so,
useful, but he is. Well, that's, I think, maybe in an ideal world, what you want is for Marcus Jones to be in the old Miles Bryant role. He's just going to be better at it because he's a better athlete and he's a better punt returner and better as a safety when you ask him to do that. And but yeah, so I don't know. The secondary needs to be better all around. Safety play needs to be better. Like the tough thing is that like literally every position that needs to be better, which makes it it's nice when it comes to like addressing it because you could just throw a dartboard, throw a dart at the board, and you're gonna land on something that'll probably make this team better.
Yeah,
but you're still gonna be a ways away unless you're able to land multiple serious pieces for this defense.
right.
And it's also like I am not pleased with how DeMarcus Covington has played this or has coached this year. And I think if they were to move on from him, I think that would be very understandable.
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to see him get more talent. I think we should be realistic about this. The type of owner that Robert Kraft is, so we've very clearly seen in like the dynasty in the way he talks there. He almost envisions himself as like this mafia boss where loyalty is the big thing. And he just made all these moves and brought in the new head coach and GM and all this stuff. Nobody is going to get fired after this season. Maybe position coaches, maybe a coordinator. Mayo and Wolf are going to be here next year. Like this was an investment in a long-term thing. So I don't think it's worth discussing because it's not on the table. It's not going to be a thing that happens.
Correct.
Like it's not.
I also
think
that they should be here. I think that they've done enough. Like, let's not pretend like they've done enough to warrant it. But I think that it was brutal. Again, what they had coming in was bad. You invested in a guy, like Gerard Mayo, because you think he can be better in the long term, right? I had a conversation with Austin Gale on Twitter about this today. Like, did anyone really think that Mayo in his first year was going to be an upgrade over Bill Belichick? Like, what? Like, did we have delusions about that? Like, what are we even talking about?
You're getting him for what you think he can be in a couple of years.
Right. And so it's like you are believing that he can be a very good head coach at some point in the future. That's what you're doing. Right. And so you have to have patience because that's the name of the game. Right. And so, and again, that doesn't necessarily mean anything, but but again, for me, I look at it and say, no, you're not firing Gerard Mayo. You're also not firing Elliott Wolf. It isn't. You're not doing that. Now, if he has another draft like this year's draft, and if Jalen Poole can't figure it out, and if, and Caden Wallace is hurt, so we'll see. But like, if he has another draft like this year's draft, then he's gone next year, right? But I also think too, let's see what he does with the cap money this year.
Yeah,
right? Let's see what they do with that.
Yeah, we gotta. Like, Elliott Wolf has barely even gotten into this thing yet. It's way too soon to be talking about letting him go.
Right.
And these guys, like, I think pretty much across the board, everyone has underperformed what we would like them to do. No one's job is so safe that we think they're guaranteed to have this job in 2026. That's for sure.
That's correct. That is correct. 2025 is one thing. 2026, that's just not, I don't care. Like you tell me, Gerard, you tell me the whole coaching staff is fired and the entire, front office, like the main guys in the front office are gone. Then I'd say, hey, that's what happened. But for next year, that's the different year. That's a different story for me. And again, having money this year matters because there's a lot of people available in free agency. Having money last year didn't really matter because there were no real free agents. I mean, yes, there was Calvin Ridley, but like, did people really want Calvin Ridley for $22 million a year? I just like, what are we talking about?
No, well, I'm still a little bit skeptical about what this free agency might look like. 'Cause I think you're going to have T. Higgins. Outside of T. Higgins, I don't know what's actually going to be out there.
Right.
And this is the issue with free agencies. You can have all the money in the world, but typically the best players never hit the market, so that money doesn't get to go anywhere.
Well, but I think that Higgins will be available. I think, like you say, Ward could be available, right? And that there might be an offensive lineman available. And if that's the case,
there's only one tackle that I even kind of like this year, and that's Garrett Bowles. So, and I think Denver has cap space, so he might not be going anywhere.
And maybe not, right?
They might be there's a real chance this team is in a tough spot here where there's no tackle they like signing. There's no tackles worth taking with the number 4 overall pick. And by the time they're up again, the middle class of tackles has already been drafted.
Then you gotta trade. You gotta trade back.
That's the thing. Like, you gotta be prepared for that this can happen. And we had a long time to talk about the off season.
Yes, I agree.
We do.
All right.
You want to do prize picks?
Yeah, let's do the prize picks break, and then we'll and then we will go from there. All right, so as always, we're going to talk about Prize Picks here. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Now, again, and I keep saying this to you, man, but they put members first because with all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. My picks hit, I can get my money in as quickly as 15 minutes. And for you Venmo people out there, you can both you can withdraw from, you can deposit and withdraw from Venmo. So my picks this week, do you even want to know? Because it's just not good. It's not good, and it is what it is, but it's okay. It's all right. But guess what? I'm on the way because I had Pop Douglas, for more than 37.5 receiving yards. That one hit. Jahmyr Gibbs for more than 68.5 rushing yards. That one hit too. Can you believe it? 2 for 2. I'm still waiting on Brock Bowers. Got to score a touchdown this afternoon. So we'll see. But there's at least a chance that happens. Almost never happens in this case. So, but anyways, those are mine. So what I want you to do is download the Prize Picks app. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS, and they're going to give you $50 for your first $5 lineup played. You do not have to win your first $5 lineup. You just have to play your first $5 lineup, and you will get $50 when you put in the promo code CLNS. So download the Prize Picks app today and get started. Prize Picks, run your game. All right. So Drake May. Let's get into Drake May. Drake May had some great plays today. He had some not so great plays today. The interception that he threw. Well, I guess I don't even know. Do you want to start with the interception, or do you want to start with the?
Let's start with the good. We haven't talked a lot of good on this podcast.
Okay. All right. Let's start with the good stuff. The touchdown pass to Hoop was awesome. That was awesome. Just an absolute, extends the play, breaks containment, goes around the guys, and makes a great throw. He had a really nice throw to Kendrick Bourne on another, I think, a third down play where he breaks, he broke a tackle in the backfield, or I guess outran someone chasing him from the backfield and then hit him on the run. He just consistently does this every week. And so now it's like we're all now expecting him to do it. Not just like he just does every now and again. We're expecting him to do it every week. And that is awesome. And he continues to impress us with that. And so I love it.
Yeah. I think, one of the things that stood out to me early in this game, the second drive the Patriots had, where They end up missing a field goal at the end off the upright, but they overcame a ton of penalties, and May was still able to get them into field goal range. Like
Yeah.
you get what do you call it? You get your first down, then a false start. Now you're in 1st and 15, and then you get another false start. So you end up in 2nd and 16. And then the line actually looked good at this point in the game. Antonio Gibson ripped off a couple of really nice runs.
Yeah.
May had a scramble that almost moved the chains. Then you get the holding penalty that sets you back, but you're able to still pick up enough yards to attempt a field goal. And it should have been good. That's a really tough spot to miss from Sly. You could have had a lead early in this game. I don't know if that really changes anything, but you could have.
Right.
And you don't execute well enough, but May able to do that. The offensive line looked really good for that possession too. Outside of like the miscues when they were actually running a play, though they looked good. And
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I got to get into the tape because it was like first quarter and a half. I felt decent about the offensive line, and then the third or
That
fourth
second quarter is brutal.
yeah, it just totally fell apart, and that was it. That was the game. With a touchdown pass, you could see the arm strength that May shows off, able to get that ball down the field to Hooper, the vision to find him down the field.
Yeah.
Smart play from Hooper too, just looking for space.
Yeah, why not?
And
right.
Awesome stuff. I had my betting article today. I had Austin Hooper anytime touchdown as one of my bets, which I believe that Drake May still has not thrown a touchdown pass to the same player more than once.
Look at that. It's interesting.
That's just why I picked Austin Hooper. So I was like, he's the guy who has thrown to the most, who hasn't gotten one from May. Well, there's the first one from May.
Yeah.
The play extension was huge today, and couple bad throws. I think this is a step back from where he was last week, but that's going to happen. So.
Yep. Yeah, and look, I mean, you have a guy that can make all of the throws, right? That can wow you with some of the throws that he makes. And there you go right there. Matt comes up with it, just like you said. NFL record, tied an NFL record, first 10 TD passes being to 10 different NFL receivers.
Did not know that was a record. Awesome.
It's pretty impressive. I think Hasty's next, right? Is Hasty the only one that doesn't have one?
Does Gibson have a receiving? Hasty has one. Hasty caught the opening touchdown in Jacksonville.
You're right. Hasty has one. Gibson's the one that I think that doesn't have one. I think you're right. So
and like Baker doesn't have one, so he could still get one.
Wow, that's true. But I mean, come on. He's got to have a catch first.
Yeah, but he could get one.
He could theoretically get one.
When they put him on the field, he goes deep. So
that's fair. That is fair. So I just, it's an ugly situation offensively for them. They just don't have the horses, and they don't have the offensive line. So unfortunately, that's the issue that I have with that. And again, people are going to hate Mayo, and that's okay. It's all right for you to hate Mayo. Mayo's back next year. The question for me is, will DeMarcus Covington be back next year? Because, as you said, this is 2 straight games where the defense has looked completely incompetent, just completely incompetent. And so, is that going to happen again? Are we going to look at this and say, all right, we just can't keep doing this? The defense is just completely underprepared. And Mayo in his first year, you can't really ask Mayo in his first year to say, okay, go take over the defense. Like, what are we doing? Like, we need a guy that can actually coach the defense,
Well, I think here's my issue though, is that this is Gerard Mayo is a defensive coach. When the defense is playing poorly, he should be spending more time there and making it better.
That's fair.
We haven't really seen any evidence that that's happening.
No.
It's tough to discern right now how much of that is the talent and how much of that is the coaching, I think. But there are definitely aspects of this that are coaching, whether it be tendencies, whether it be communication. I think those are the 2 key things defensively where they've struggled, and just learning as play callers. They've been too predictable. But and I think that's where you see the difference. Alex Van Pelt has never been a full-time play caller before, but he's been a long-time offensive coordinator. He's listening on the headset during the play calls. He's assisting and putting that together. He's everything but the play caller, and he has been a play caller at points. I think the offensive play calling, by and large, has been pretty good for most of the season and has gotten a lot better as the year has gone along.
Yeah.
Defensively, I feel just about the same about this coaching now as I did in like week 2. Like it's
Correct.
just not. It's been flat with one peak in Chicago. I had 2 because they played well against the Jets. And it's like, all right, you beat Aaron Rodgers and the incompetent Jets, where the defense looked a lot better, and a rookie quarterback with a team that ended up firing their offensive coordinator. I don't know if that's much to feel great about.
Well, and that's right. And that's the thing, and defensively. And I know that guys are hurt. I get that, right? I know that Bentley's not there. I know Duggar clearly isn't 100%, right? And that, Barmore's just finally coming back, right? I understand all of that. But you just have to look at, you have to look at it and just say, like, hey, what are we doing here? It's not getting better. It's just not getting better. You got to scheme some guys. You got to scheme guys up at some point, and they just haven't been able to do that. I thought, to his credit, I thought he did a really nice job early on. Like, he had that first pass to John. One of those early passes to Jonnu Smith was just over, I think it was Tavai. I think it was Tavai's outstretched arm. And it was a great pass. He was on target, right? And so, I think for me, like, I get it. But it's like, man, like the defense they got to do something, and it hasn't happened.
Well, we got to go back to Drake May. We got away from him.
Yes,
and his
play.
His bad. He had 2 bad plays today. The interception, I don't care that much about. It's a bad play. It's a dumb play, but like, it's a rookie quarterback late in a game where you're getting crushed trying to make a play while he's under pressure.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. He underthrew the ball by a little bit. Linebacker Terrell Dodson made a great play on the ball. It happens. The fumble is more concerning to me.
It can't happen.
You got to have 2 hands on the football, man. This has been a recurring issue now in the pocket. And part of that's going to be the pressure. Like, that's just going to happen. But he generally has good awareness for pressure, gets away from it and all that. He is still very much just learning what he can and can't get away with.
Yeah.
Got to file this one away in the can't get away with it
That's
category.
Correct.
Make sure to keep 2 hands on the football next time and go on from there.
Right. And that's, that's the way it goes, right? And you just got to hope that he improves that as he moves forward. And then, you just go from there. And that's just the way it is, right? And I was concerned. The fumble, just like, you just can't. It can't happen. Just cannot happen.
Nope. Well, especially because the way this game went, especially when you get the defensive score, they had opportunities to get back into this and make it competitive. Like, it was 24-0 when the fumble happened. Then you give up the touchdown 2 plays later to make it 31-0.
Right.
It's a short field too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, all right, that's a 7-point play there, basically. That fumble in a game that obviously gets away from you, but you gotta clean those up, because this happened last week against the Rams too, where you get a fumble or deep in your own territory, and that sets up the score.
Right.
Did that happen against the Titans too? I think.
I think it did. I think it did.
Yeah, that was one of the fumbles they didn't pick up. So it's just, especially when you're deep in your own territory and it's going to be an automatic 3 points.
Right.
Got to be cleaner with it.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see. Speaking of the penalties, this is the type of thing that I see all the time. I'm sure we've seen that a ton. A Belichick coach team would at least not have anywhere the amount of penalties they're having this year. Did you watch this? Did you watch the Patriots last year? Did you watch them? All right. Go back and look at the film. Go back and just look at the stats. Forget about the film. I mean, go back and look at the stats.
Okay, so what I will say here, the Patriots this season are averaging more penalties per game than any Patriots team since 2009, except for, weirdly, the 2014 team, which the 2014 team averaged over 7 penalties a game.
Yes. Because they also got a ton of defensive penalties. I feel like they got a ton of defensive penalties that year. So, but no,
But
and you're not wrong.
They're over a penalty worse per game than they were last year, and they're averaging more than 10 yards a game worse on
Right.
penalties.
Right. And again,
this
it's
year.
not. I'm not saying that they're doing better than they were last year. I'm just saying they were awfully close last year. And you're talking about a first-year head coach, a first-year offensive coordinator, a first-year defense coordinator, a first-year special teams coordinator. So, like, there was going to be a drop-off. We knew that, right? You know, and so it's just like it is what it is, right? Again, I'm sorry for the confusion if you thought I was trying to say that like there's less penalties than last year. There isn't. There's more penalties than last year, right? But again, there were a ton of penalties last year, right? It's not like they were the least penalized team in the league last year. They were a highly penalized team last year with Bill Belichick as the coach, right? Now, right, and Bill O'Brien, who was supposed to be a great offensive coordinator, was the offensive coordinator. And so, now it's like, yes, it's a little bit worse than it was last year because that makes sense. First year offensive coordinator, first year head coach, all those things. But it's not like it's significantly worse than it was last year. That's my only point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not pleased with it.
No, and you shouldn't be, right? And I'm not. And again, like I just think I don't know, whatever. The problem that I have is that people see what I'm saying and they think like I'm trying to defend these guys and say they're doing a great job. They're not doing a great job, but they're not doing as bad of a job as people thought. I think, as people say. That's my opinion on what the Patriots are doing right now.
That's fair.
But
yeah, no, they do. The Patriots do have to be better for sure with the penalties going forward. And this has been, it's been an issue. They're kind of similar in penalties to the 2022 team, really.
Right.
So, like, we've seen some of this before under Belichick, and like sometimes the number of penalties you have is a symptom of how disciplined you are. Sometimes it's a symptom of how aggressively you decide to play. Sometimes it's a symptom of talent. It's going to be all three of those that go into it. And I think a lot of this year's issues are just talent. Like, you're going to get a lot of holding penalties when your offensive line isn't very good. You're going to get a lot of defensive, pass interference penalties if your secondary isn't very good. They've had a number of players who were key players make some bonehead plays. Keon White has had his fair share. So there's some bad luck in there too. And I don't know. They got to be better next year. No, they got to be a tougher team. They got to be a smarter team. They got to be a better team next year. And
totally agree. And so, so we'll see. I just think, this game is the type of game that everyone overreacts to. And honestly, and I think I said it during the game, like this is the type of game that gets a coordinator fired, right? And I'm not saying that Covington's going to get fired after this game, but like this is the type of game where like they just get embarrassed. Like they just got absolutely embarrassed. And so like you look at it and say they just got like flat out like taken to the woodshed. And so then you say, well, someone's got to pay for that, right? And I guess the Patriots stink. Like they're not good, and so maybe it's just like, hey, it's, it is what it is, right? But like you just feel like someone's got to pay for this because this is one of the worst games that you've seen the Patriots play in a long time. Well, maybe not a long time because they've been really bad the last few years, but
I don't even think
this is a terrible game.
This game doesn't even really register for me on the terrible game thing. It's just there's been so many bad games in the last 5 years. You're on the road against a divisional rival that knows you well, a team that,
just completely outmatched, though. Just completely outmatched.
But they should be. Miami team, when healthy, is a team that people thought was a Super Bowl contender this year, and they look like they're well on their way. They're probably sneaking back into the playoffs, and I wouldn't want to be the team that placed them in the playoffs if they look like this.
If you're in cold weather, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, and like that's next week is going to be Dolphins at Packers on Thanksgiving night, which is going to be a very telling game. I'm very curious to see how they look because if they go out there and they play like this, all right.
And the Packers are already up 10-0 on San Fran right
Niners, the partyless Niners.
Yeah.
But no, this is So the Dolphins team is very good. Chop Robinson coming into his own. So they're getting the pass rush that they haven't had the first 2 months of the season. And they're hard to defend. That means I will defend Marcus Jones on this. He's got to cover a really good receiver no matter where he is on the field,
right?
Who's going to be well schemed, and it's tough. That's a hard assignment. So they came really close to making a couple big plays on defense today, where balls just got right over someone's hand, or So they got some a little unlucky at points today and outplayed today against a better team on the road. So, you pick it up and try to put something together next week, because the Colts game is winnable, and then you get a bye, and then you see what you can do in the final month of the season. All 4 of those games look tough right now.
Yep.
The final 4 games of the season might all be against playoff teams. And depending on what Miami and Indy do here, the final 6 games of this season might all be against playoff teams. Because the Colts would be in the playoffs if the season ended today, and then the Dolphins are the first team out. So that's tough luck of the draw there. We want this team to improve down the stretch, but they can play better and have it not mean anything because of the teams they're playing against.
That's also very true. Yeah. So we'll see. All right, let's do that second ad read and then finish up here.
Yep. I'm here to talk to you guys about game time. I mentioned Pat's got a big game next week. Got the Colts coming to town. Throwback game against the Colts, which should be a fun one. You can get there faster and easier than ever before with Game Time and Game Time Picks. Game Time Picks makes finding the deals to see the Patriots play live even easier. Whatever team you want to see. If you're not a Patriots fan and you're here, you want to go see your team play live, Game Time Picks makes that so much easier. You open up the Game Time app, you look around, you're going to see, first of all, the cheapest ticket's going to be highlighted with a little fire emoji next to it, the Game Time Pick. You just hit a button that says Game Time Picks. So that's all you see. It's going to show you the best value seats all around the arena, all around the stadium, no matter what event you're going to, because this works for concerts too. Basketball games, hockey games, we're in hockey season. And when you click on that, you're going to see the view from that seat. So, you have an idea what it is that you're getting, the price you see, the price you're going to pay with all-in pricing. There's no surprise fees at checkout. It makes the whole thing easy to do, seamless, and a great experience all around. I've used it. I can't recommend it enough. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Pat,
all right.
We haven't talked about it at all.
What's that?
That's 2 things, both on the offensive line. One, I thought City So looked like an improvement at right tackle. He looked much more comfortable there than any other spot they've showed.
That is very true. Yep.
And 2, I think this is Michael Jordan's worst game of the season by a wide margin. And I have a hard time putting him back out there at left guard next week.
He can't block a twist. It's a DN tackle twist, and he just can't block it. And I
do it earlier this year. That's why he took the spot from Layden Robinson. He was the one guy who could do this on the line, and now he can't.
He's completely useless out there because he's not a good run blocker, and he can't pass block either anymore. So it just, to me, now Cole Strange did come back to practice last week. My hope and my assumption and my hope is that he's healthy next week and can play next week. Now, I don't know for sure, but I'm hopeful, that he goes in there and can play left guard. And look, maybe City So is not that he's the answer, but maybe City So is a better option at right tackle, because DeMontre Jacobs has been awful. He has been awful. This is 2 weeks in a row that he has been awful. And I just and so that becomes an issue for me. And I guess just try City So at right tackle. I don't know. I just don't know.
They drafted him to play.
Right. And so, maybe put him out there and just see what happens. It can't possibly be worse than DeMontre Jacobs. You just say screw it and do it. And we'll see what happens there. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm hopeful that Caden Wallace can come back healthy at some point, right? They said Mayo did say he was expecting him back at some point, like maybe after the bye. I don't know. I want to see what we have in Caden Wallace, number one, and number two, we need some help somewhere. So if you get Cole Strange back and he's healthy, Ben Brown hasn't been great, but I would say probably the worst player on the offensive line has been Jacob. So he's the one that has to come out, or it has been Jordan. I'm sorry, he's the one that has to come out. So,
but they've both been awful. When I think looking forward, what they want to do, it seems like they want Cole Strange at center. So when he's healthy, assuming that he is ready, they're going to put him in for Ben Brown. So at right tackle, I want to see how it looks when I look at the film. But first glance, that was an improvement. So maybe you put So over there for the next couple games and see how that goes. The problem is that you've used two of your guys off the bench now to fill your issues at center and right tackle. We've still got Michael Jordan at left guard in this situation, which then kind of comes down to, can Layden Robinson play left guard for you? They seemed not super comfortable with having him go over to the left side because they were talking about Onwenu going over.
Yeah.
Maybe we do that anyway. Maybe it's Low, then Onwenu, then Strange, then Robinson, then So. Hearing myself say that out loud makes my ears bleed a little bit, but maybe it works. I don't know. What's going on right now isn't working. I'm not sure there is a group of 5 players that's going to be all that much better than what they have right now, because it's just the players all stink. The backups are backups for a reason.
I just feel like, for me at least, I'd rather see Caden Wallace at right tackle than, and maybe City So can actually play well.
I'm saying this before Caden Wallace returns, because So has not looked good at guard. That's his issue. So if he can play tackle, I don't care who it is. If Jacobs isn't your guy at tackle, I don't care if it's So or Wallace. If one of them can play right tackle for you at a decent level, awesome. I could not care less which one it is.
Right. Yeah, like ultimately it doesn't make a difference, right? Who the actual guy is, right? So I don't know. We'll see.
It's just that there's no left guard answer here unless they're gonna abandon the Cole Strange at center thing.
Right, and then put him at left guard.
I'm not
and that becomes who goes to center, right? And I guess Ben Brown has done an okay enough job. He hasn't, but been
better than Jordan and Jacobs probably.
Yeah, right. So that's the only. I don't know. We'll see. So, but it's been. I mean, look, but then it's like, what's funny is that they have these games like the Chicago game where you're like, this team stinks and they're terrible and they're awful, and they go into Chicago and smoke them. And so it's just like, I just I don't know.
I know what it is. It's because that Bears offense, they didn't use any kind of motion.
That is also
true.
All
the route stuff is simple down the field.
Yeah, that Bears
so it's offense. A lot easier to just play man coverage, and then when you can play man coverage on the back end, then you can dial up all of your.
Did you see that throw that he made today?
Caleb Williams had a really good game today. Here's the throw.
Rolling to his right and making that throw. My God.
Did you see the play he made on 4th down?
No.
It was late in the game. Caleb Williams had a play where he was scrambling in the pocket trying to keep the play alive, make something happen. And when his lineman had pancaked someone, and he runs and jumps over the guy on the ground and then runs for the first. It was incredible.
He's great.
Really good day for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a good day for New England. For what it's worth, the Dolphins could not run the ball today. 2.7 yards per carry, only 65 yards on the ground. The run defense, I think, has improved throughout the year. It's just that by selling out to stop the run, they have exposed themselves on the back end. And next week, when a quarterback who likes to run and an offense that wants to run, an offense that's going to do a lot of RPOs, I'm curious how this is going to work. Because the Colts offense, as far as I understand it, I got to watch more. It's a whole lot. There's QB run game, there's RPOs, there's regular running, handoffs, Jonathan Taylor, and then they'll try to throw it over the top of you. Like Anthony Richardson's average depth of target is usually something crazy because when he throws, they want to go down the field with it. Like they want to attack you deep.
Yeah.
That sounds like like if the RPO stuff and misdirection that they used gets New England, then this could be a lot like it was the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can play sound with it, especially with how inconsistent Richardson has been, this can go a lot like the Bears game did, I think, defensively. So it'll be a good test.
I have no hope. I have zero hope. I don't know how anyone could have any hope. After watching this game and after watching this team, I don't know how anyone can have any hope that the Patriots are going to compete against anyone.
Well, that's what we said about the Patriots that got killed in Jacksonville in London by the Jaguars.
Yeah, but they didn't get.
And then they came out
like this,
the next
though.
3.
It wasn't like this. It wasn't.
No,
it wasn't. You didn't get embarrassed
worse.
up and down the field.
The Jaguars ran it like, was it 16 straight times or whatever it was? They just absolutely took it to you as one of the worst teams in football.
Right.
The Dolphins are a team that should be a playoff team the way that they have played with Tua healthy this year. So, losing by 3 scores to this team on paper doesn't bother me. Some of the how you got here is what bothers me. I want to see this defense have a good game against a good offense, which they did week 1 against the Bengals. I'm not going to count that, though, because it was no T. Higgins, and Case hadn't practiced, and it's early season Bengals. We got 5 games left, especially those 2 Bills games I'm looking at. The staff has familiarity over there. I want to see this team defensively have a good game in one of those. Give us something, man.
Well, I mean, you know, at a certain point, right? You need something, but I don't see it happening. But we'll see. You never know. Yeah. And I think that's, what I also want to see is some growth and development, not just from the players, but also from the coaching staff. And I do think that AVP has done that a little bit offensively. Not a ton of it, but I think he's done that a little bit offensively. Defensively, I haven't seen it. And from a head coaching perspective, I haven't really seen it either because – and there was a play, it was one of Lowe's false start penalties. The defensive tackle on the defensive left, offensive right jumps into the neutral zone. And the 3 guys right there just stare at him. And Lowe, I think, jumped because either he assumed they were going to jump or he saw movement, so he jumped. But he's on the other side of the line, and so he gets flagged for the penalty. That should be an automatic. That's an automatic play. That guy jumps, you move, you get the penalty. Like, that's an automatic play. And that is mental. That's up here. And that is done by the coaching staff. And so that's the frustrating thing for me where it's like to make a play like that and to not, and sure, like it ends up being a penalty on Vidarian Lowe. It should not have been a penalty on Vidarian Lowe. It should have been a penalty on Miami. But your guys on the right side of the line, and that's Mike Onwenu, your best offensive lineman. What the hell is he doing? Like that guy moves on neutral zone, you jump. Because now you get for free 5 yards. And, like, that's the type of thing that, like, you would hope that they are doing a better job of, and they're not right now. And that's frustrating. And so, like, we have to see because you can be, you talk about this sometimes, right? But you can be bad. You can have not a lot of talent. And you can also be dumb. But you can't be bad and dumb. You can't. And right now, the Patriots are bad and dumb. And that makes it almost impossible for them to win any games. Yep. Right? And that comes from the top on down. Understand the situational awareness and make the right plays. And when you're not doing that on a simple play like that, that's a problem. And look, and it's the same thing. Jalen Polk gets called for the false start. And everyone blames Jalen Polk. Jalen Polk was a false start last week, right? They can't get the freaking play in time. You break the huddle with 6 seconds left to go in the or on the play clock, and you don't get the play call in time. So Polk jumps, but only because there was 1 second left on the play clock. You had to snap it. He's like, well, May's over here. Like, we must be snapping it. And they never snapped it. And so it's like, it's stuff like that. The situational awareness and understand what's going on. Guys that are getting piled on, right, by the fan bases, and rightfully so, because they've played poorly, end up looking worse because the offensive line or the offense itself hasn't been coached up good enough. So anyways.
Yeah. I think that's all.
Yeah.
All we
That's all
got
we
on
got.
this one.
That's all we got. So it is what it is, and we'll see what happens.
Yep, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Wednesday night, yes, Wednesday
Yeah.
night, day before Thanksgiving, talking about this weekend's game against Indianapolis. I would say thank you to the comments, but I won't because I haven't looked at any of them since like 3 minutes in because it's just just an absolute dumpster fire of just terrible takes and everything else. So, anyways, so thanks guys, appreciate it, and we'll be back on Wednesday night.